Good afternoon. My name is Emily Koski, and I'm the chair of the Budget Committee. I'm going to call to order our regular committee meeting for this afternoon, September 11th. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll to verify the presence of a quorum.
Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Wansley.
Present.
Rainville.
Present.
Vita.
Present.
Ellison is absent. Osman is absent. Goodman is absent. Jenkins is absent. Chavez.
Present.
Chugtai.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Vice President Palmisano.
Present.
Cherkowski.
Present.
There are 9 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. This afternoon, we will hear a presentation on the budget related to the Minnesota Human Rights Department and Department of Justice consent decrees. We have several staff on hand to give this presentation, but I believe City Attorney Kristen Anderson will be kicking us off today, so welcome.
Thank you, Chair Koski, council members. I'm here, and frankly, many of us are here to present to you the 2024 Mayor's recommended budget with respect to compliance with the settlement agreement between the Minnesota Department of Human Rights and the city. This is very much a team effort and team approach. There will be representatives here to speak to you from the police department, from obviously me for my office, Civil Rights Department, and IT as well. What we'll do today is take you through a general introduction, give you some context for the budget asks that we're making, and then a summary of the mayoral recommendations for the different departments. I'll obviously present for the city attorney's office, and then we have presenters for MPD, civil rights, and for IT. So just context setting, and I know you are all very, very well aware of this, but for the benefit of the public, I just want to level set. What is the settlement agreement that we're talking about? Obviously, the Minnesota Department of Human Rights did an investigation and made several findings with respect to discriminatory policing by the Minneapolis Police Department and the city. And so the settlement agreement is a resolution of those findings and claims made by the Department of Human Rights. That settlement agreement was brought before the council in March earlier this year for approval, and then was actually issued as a court order by the Hennepin County District Court on July 13th, 2023, making it an actual court enforceable settlement agreement. The agreement is about 144 pages and more than 400 paragraphs, much of which encompasses responsibilities, work that has to be done by MPD and by the city with multiple departments engaged. The work involves such things as policy revision, trainings, lots of community engagement, data collection and analysis, and accountability systems. This work to comply with the settlement agreement, again, involves many, many city departments, but the major lifts with respect to the compliance with the settlement agreement falls on the Department of the Police Department, the City Attorney's Office, the Office of Police Conduct Review, and IT. So that's why we have presentations from those 4 departments here today. As you know, as part of the settlement agreement and part of agreeing to the settlement agreement, the city has agreed and obligated itself to resource the city departments as necessary to be able to fulfill the agreement's requirements. This is the settlement agreement with the Department of Human Rights is distinct from what might come down the pike with the Department of Justice. We are in conversation with the Department of Justice moving towards a consent decree. The parameters of that are unknown at this point. So the budget recommendation with respect to the settlement agreement implementation addresses both known and expected needs for implementation of the settlement agreement with the Department of Human Rights. The recommendation positions the city and the city's departments in the best position we can based on what we know right now to timely meet the deadlines required in the settlement agreement. And as you know, there are multiple deadlines, and they are very tight deadlines. And so the budget proposal is really designed to help us meet those requirements efficiently and expeditiously. All of the department leaders have used our knowledge of current staffing and known expectations of the settlement agreement to formulate the requests for consideration to the mayor, and then the mayor obviously has put together these budget recommendations. So to take you back in time a little bit, in 2022, actually before I was here, the city reallocated some existing resources to stand up a team of attorneys and data specialists and project managers to finalize the settlement agreement and prepare for implementation. Now we know a little bit more than we knew then. The 2023-24 budget that the council approved also included some funding for public safety reform, which was separate and apart from resources for implementation of the settlement agreement. The city had identified $2 million in 2023 and $3 million in 2024 as reserve funding that would be used for fulfillment of the terms of the settlement agreement. Those funds are expected to be depleted for 2023 by the costs for personnel, translation, interpretation, community engagement, and the independent evaluator. So what we are coming forward with for 2024 is an increase in the obligated fund balance for 2024 to $8 million, and for $5 million in future years to address many one-time and emergent implementation needs. The reserve has many different uses. This is really, again, for things that are required by the settlement agreement. This is not for the wanna-haves. These are for the must-haves in the settlement agreement. And is really, this reserve fund is really a short-term bridge for costs that either will eventually put on the levy if they are permanent costs, or for temporary costs that will eventually go away when the implementation is complete. On the screen, we've talked a little bit about the costs that have been approved in 2023. They include costs for the independent evaluator. If you recall, the settlement agreement caps the independent evaluator at $1.5 million per year. We don't yet have an independent evaluator in place, so for 2023, we're only projecting $250,000 for the independent evaluator. 2023 personnel costs that had not been previously budgeted. You may recall in the settlement agreement that we actually had a 60-day deadline to set the implementation unit up in MPD, so those are costs that were not budgeted for, but we needed to move quickly on those. Website and police policy translation, again, something that we needed to do quickly under the deadlines of the settlement agreement. Paying for a facilitator for community engagement, again, an obligation under the settlement agreement. And then training assessment costs that we had to do right away. The reserve will likely be used for additional things going forward. The independent evaluator, again, capped at $1.5 million a year under the MDHR agreement. We don't yet know what the additional cost might be with a DOJ consent decree. As you all know, we've agreed to one monitor and only one monitor, but there may be additional obligations under the DOJ consent decree that might increase the cost of the independent evaluator. Other likely future uses for the reserve will be outside investigative support for OPCR and internal affairs, external trainers that are certified and have the backgrounds that are approved by the Human Rights Department, that we have an expert contract with an outside expert who's got lots and lots of experience helping with DOJ consent decree implementation, so we can take advantage of that knowledge. Vendor for 911 mental health training, facilities and equipment assessments, use of force simulator, training assessment, and wellness assessments. And all these assessments are actually required as a term of the settlement agreement. As you know, we have short deadlines for many of the things that we have to do under the settlement agreement, so having that reserve available allows us to move quickly and with flexibility to get the work done that we're obligated to do under the settlement agreement. Talked about this a little bit, but we have assessments that we are required to do under the settlement agreement, and all of these are being done through the RFP and contracting process with outside consultants, training needs, equipment, facilities, technology, and employee support and wellness. So that's the reserve. So now I want to move on to talking about the summary of recommendations for additions to the department budgets. Apart from the reserves and the totals that you see on the screen do not include items that are likely to be through the reserve. So these are really staffing costs that we're talking about. And I will start off by talking about the city attorney's office unit and FTE asks, and then turn it over to my colleagues in the other departments to discuss their specific requests. So, City Attorney Office Implementation Team, sharing with you an org chart. As you can see, all of it reports up to me. I've got a managing attorney for implementation, which is a position that was funded already, and as you recall, it came before the council asking for that to be placed in the unclassified service. Senior policy advisor, again, this council approved it being in the unclassified service that was being funded through existing salary savings essentially in my budget, and that is part of my budget request for the city attorney's office to continue funding for that position. A project manager that was already funded, and then we actually kind of try to utilize the resources that we had. So we had a budget for 2 implementation attorneys, and then we already had budgeted a training attorney and an accountability attorney, and we decided to put all of those positions in the implementation unit. The training attorney and accountability attorney had just been in the civil division before, but the work so closely aligns with the implementation requirements that we just moved those positions into the implementation unit. And then we are asking for another implementation attorney for 2024 to allow for us to do some more refined research and analysis on body-worn camera footage to track compliance with the settlement agreement. As you know, my office is responsible for overall oversight of compliance with the settlement agreement, obviously legal advice and guidance, which requires staff. So we will also be managing some expert contracts for implementation assistance. We will be managing the independent evaluator contract. We will be managing the contract for support, legal support for investigations to get through the backlog. And then that consultant on strategy and efficiency for implementation that I talked about already. So the mayor's request for the city attorney's office for implementation totals $365,301. Adding continuing budget for that senior advisor position, adding that additional attorney resource to review police reports and body-worn camera footage to track MDHR compliance, and then the ongoing funding that we already had in our base already reflects the manager, project manager, 2 implementation attorneys, and again, the other 2 attorneys were resources we already had, and we just moved to the implementation unit because the work aligns. So if you can see this chart kind of walks through the positions the manager already have in place, senior advisor already in place, but again, need continuing funding for that. The project manager in place, 3 of the attorneys already hired, and the last attorney in process, and I think that we've almost got a hire there. And then our fifth attorney that we're asking for in the 2024 budget. So we take seriously our obligation under the settlement agreement to get staffed up within the 60 days, and it's September 11th, and so 60 days is 2 days from now, and I think that we are on target to have all of our positions in the CAO implementation unit filled by that point in time. And I will now turn it over to Chief Gators.
Welcome, Chief.
Morning, or good afternoon, Chair and council members. This portion, what I'd like to present to you is an org chart of the positions that we are requesting. And when you take a look at the org chart, just to kind of give you some easement as far as how to kind of flow through it, the color coding of it is the ones marked in blue are filled positions currently. The ones marked in green are in progress positions. The other positions gets into, and I'll talk a little bit more about it a little later, where there are other units that kind of encompass positions that we've requested. And then there's an asterisk that indicates sworn positions as well. Just so you're aware of the ones that are sworn and unsworn positions. So when you look at this organizational chart, you'll see that there are 28 positions. If you do the counting, you may notice that there are 31 positions on the chart. So please keep in mind that there are 3 positions that you can negate just because they are sworn positions, which gives us the number of 28 positions. So as a landmark, there's an indication of one of the squares there, or pieces of the chart is marked in orange. So those are where your SMEs, or subject matter experts, are listed. So if we kind of start there, and we'll kind of flow through the chart that way, going down from there. So we have our subject matter experts that we requested. We have an IT position and a training position as far as subject matter experts. Those positions are filled. When we go down below that, you'll see our wellness, accountability, and oversight, use of force, and stop and search experts. With the part of the accountability and use of force and stop and search, those are your sworn positions that we have allocated, and those are positions that were already in our budget with sworn officers, and we put them in there just because it would best suit the training piece and fulfilling the requirement of the settlement agreement. As you go next to that, adjacent to that, with the compliance manager, and most of these titles here are self-explanatory, but the compliance specialist and the which are 2 positions that we have requested. What you'll see is they're in green as well, and those are in progress or in process of being hired as well. So they'll be overseeing the auditing piece of the MPD with respect to the settlement agreement. As you go over to the manager of special projects, that is a position that has been filled, and administrative analyst 2, and the manager of community engagement, along with the community specialist bilingual, those have been filled as well. There's one that is in process, that is the community specialist project lead. And if you go to the second tier of that same manager of special projects, the project coordinator, supervisor, and the project coordinator are 2 positions that have also been filled. As we kind of slide over to the manager and special projects, the administrative analyst below that, and the manager business analyst have also been filled, and we are in the process of filling the data scientist and business data analyst, along with the second position of that same category. Now, as we go over to what I'll call the isolated area of this org chart, to your right, as you look at the chart, you'll notice that It's listed at the top portion as other implementation-related units. Now, when I'm speaking about this, I'm talking about within our department, we already have in place units, which are EIS, our early intervention system, and internal affairs and training. So those are already categories within the org chart or within our management of the police department. But within those, how we can assist with taking from or housing within units that already exist. Positions that have not been filled at this point, they are in process. So under EIS, you'll see that there's an EIS manager, a data scientist as well. As you go next to that with the internal affairs piece, we have an admin analyst, internal affairs admin analyst, analyst 2. Internal affairs body worn camera, that's the BWC, analyst 2. Internal affairs body worn camera 2, those are 2 positions that are being requested, and theirs are in process as well. And along with the internal affairs civilian case intake investigator. And if you slide over to the training portion of it, you also have the civilian training director and the use of force training civilian supervisor. So just to give you a kind of a high-level overview of the org chart and where we are with that, there are many positions that are in process right now, but fortunately we have been able to fill positions that have been very successful as far as the work that they've been doing thus far. What you have in your packets or on your computers in front of you is pretty much a list and a synopsis and brief of each position that I've listed to save you time of actually going through each and every list and reading each one of those off. If you'd like, I can definitely do that for you. But if you do have questions about any specific positions, just proceeding forward, I think that might be the best way to go about it, but it's definitely at your leisure, whatever you choose for me to do.
I think that we can just browse through these. I don't think you need to go through each of them one by one unless any council members object to that. I'm not seeing anybody, so go ahead, keep going. I guess I do have one question just to pipe in here quick about what you mean by what in process means. Does that mean that a job description has been created, or is it already posted? Could you describe where we are at?
Yes, Chair. Thank you. That's a great question. These are positions that are, when it says in process, they are in the process of being hired. So we're looking for individuals to fill those spots. So we have a time period that we have to get these positions in place. So the ones in green are in process as far as positions that are there and need to be filled and are in process of being filled.
Okay, thank you. And I see we do have a question from Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Koski. It's in relation to the wellness subject matter expert personnel item. This might also be a question where HR might have to weigh in, but I could have sworn at POGO either earlier this year or sometime last year, we did approve a vendor item to do mental health support for officers. So wasn't sure if this was something to complement that work that might already be existing through, I think that was like an online portal, online app. Just making sure we're not duplicating some existing services. So just wanted to get clarity on that. Did we not move forward with the vendor, or is this kind of supplementing this?
Yeah, my understanding is this is something that would actually, I guess, bolster up what is required from the agreement, the settlement agreement, and additional positions will be required as of here, as in this particular position, where we have some things that were already in place, but as I say, we could do better, and some of these positions kind of just reinforce or better what we've already been doing.
Okay. And this is again, and I'm seeing in the implementation chart for wellness, it seems like there's only one box or one position being allocated. So it would be good to know as a follow-up item of, again, that existing contract that we've approved. I forget the dollar amount where it is supposed to be providing or extending those mental health services to officers as well. How that's supplementing, what budget figure that was again, so we can have kind of a total understanding of, we already have a contract, maybe this staff position will be overseeing the administration of that contract, doing outreach to let people know they can use those services, but just wanted to say that piece, there was a gap missing there.
And I believe you're speaking about the $165,000 budget allocated for that, or requested for that?
Just the wellness subject matter expert, just seeing if there was any correlation or engagement that this staff position will be having with our existing vendor that's doing mental health supports for MPD officers.
Yeah, and I don't believe we have a representative from HR here currently, but our finance person can probably better answer that.
Committee Chair, Council Member. So we do have a contract with Ellie, is the name of the company, and I think it's a 2-year contract for about $500,000, but I can give you the exact amount. But the contract for Ellie is actually for mental health services. So wellness, I think you have to take out as really a separate definition. So Ellie is providing counseling services on a confidential basis, some training for us and some other things. The wellness manager in the wellness department within the department, the wellness unit, is looking at the total wellness of the officers, not just a counseling. Counseling is just one piece of it. So it's really kind of a multi-pronged approach to dealing with officer wellness.
Is there a breakdown anywhere? I know we've had conversations around some vagueness of these concepts. So is there, I don't know if it's a mission statement or kind of a breakdown of like, what are those holistic components that this position will be responsive to?
We can certainly provide that for you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, I am not seeing any further questions for MPD, so I don't know if you're finished with your slides, or,
Yes, Chair.
okay, thank you.
And I'd like to turn it over to Director Jefferson, please.
Welcome, Director Jefferson.
Good afternoon. The Civil Rights Division, OPCR, we're requesting $406,000 to meet the goals of hiring other investigators. Looking for ongoing funding of $356,000 for 3 case investigators, FTEs. The one-time funding for $50,000, that includes training and also logistic planning for OPCR. With the settlement agreement, we have certain deadlines we have to meet, of course, the 180-day calendar day turnaround for case investigations. In addition to that, we have other things we do have to meet in regards to data analysis and also conducting research, not only for the OPCR, but for the CCPO as well. As I stated before, we are going to meet the MDR requirements to complete investigations within 180 calendar days, and also prepare those investigations for the panel within 30 days. We are averaging approximately 300 complaints per year in the past 2 years. We're possibly looking at the increase of that due to the fact that we are receiving all external complaints from the citizens of Minneapolis. As of right now, we currently have 4 investigators and 5 vacancies. We're trying to fill. We're in the process right now hiring 5 more case investigators. Our turnaround time previously was 485 days to complete investigation from the start to end. So with the increase of FTEs, we're looking to put more people into investigations and to increase our investigation and to also condense our timeline as well. I'm in the process of restructuring OPCR to streamline our process and to have a better outcome, more quality investigations, and to make sure that we meet the MDHR requirement.
Councilmember Ronsley, do you have another question, or are you in queue from before?
Oh, yeah, that was from before.
Okay. I do have one clarifying question. I think it's moved back one. You were discussing the vacancies or how many people, and I thought I heard 4 and 5, but I see on here a total of 8.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Oh,
I went the wrong way.
it said we currently have 8 investigators, 2 positions added last year, and 3 vacancies.
Yes, so out of the 8, like I stated before, we restructured, and so I created 3 positions in management positions, so 2 positions in management positions. So we have a 3-pillar type organization restructuring, and 1 pillar is designed to handle all the data analysis, research, policies and procedures, and 1 person was promoted to a manager, legal analyst. We also have a case investigator manager that was also put in that position to oversee the case management system and also the cases that are coming in to review. So that deducts from our actual personnel of case investigators. And we also have a project coordinator as well.
Okay. I'm going like this a little bit, but that's okay. I trust that if I see it written down, I'll understand. So I appreciate that. Councilmember Wansley?
Thank you, Chair Kosky. Yeah, just to follow up on that, I know having the organizational charts are really helpful to be able to process this information. If there is a way to get a follow-up where that is spelled out in an org chart, I think that could help, as you mentioned, having it written down.
I can have that to you this week.
Okay, awesome. And then the impacts that you foresee with a huge caseload now that some of those positions are being relegated to management, and you said some of those, that management level then deducts from the investigator side. Does that have impact on being able to address the volume of cases and getting that short turnaround?
No, and here's the reason why, is that we need some type of command and control because we have so much information coming in. I had to design something to meet those demands and to meet the information that's constantly coming in. So we are constantly getting data requests from the city attorney's office, from the Hennepin County's prosecutor's office, and also from the clerk's office. So I had to create that pillar to address that situation. Prior to that, I was taking case investigators away from their case investigations to conduct those type of data analysis. Sometimes the data analysis would take maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks to complete. It just depends on the amount. So instead of taking away from their actual case investigation, I created this in order for them to address that as well. And I'm also trying to add some interns to assist us as well. So it doesn't take away from the case investigations because the way I created this is to have some type of management so they could concentrate on overseeing different aspects of OPCR. And by adding the 3 FTEs will give us even more case investigators to conduct investigations. So what I created was something that would address the MDHR settlement agreement and also where we have some command and control over everything that we're doing.
Okay, awesome. That's good to hear the relationship with both the city attorney's office and then also the clerk's office, because I believe they've hired contractors to support some of those data requests because of the huge volume. I know you mentioned interns. I don't know if contractual services is also another area to help with some of those things. While interns are also great to have.
Yes.
But yeah, it'd be good to continue to hear kind of evaluation of around how this is helping
Right.
those case investigations, because I know this was a really big point of concern for constituents of having that turnaround, and it's great that we're seeing a decrease in, the total time it takes to do investigations, but also we'll appreciate that org chart, which I'm glad to hear you say you could do this week, so that
Right.
would be great.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Koski, other members of the Budget Committee. I would like to share with you the anticipated IT expenses related to the settlement agreement. We have a total request of $495,000 in 2024 and $456,000 in 2025 and ongoing. So to break down some of the individual expenses, we have $50,000 ongoing for EIS licensing. This is really a portion of the total licensing, and my understanding is that the remainder is covered elsewhere in the budget, but this was additional funds that we did not have covered, and so we wanted to be able to account for that. The next item is an integration platform. We have $100,000 ongoing for the integration platform licensing costs. The integration platform is primarily used in support of the EIS platform to allow us to safely and securely transmit the data from our internal systems to the EIS platform. We also have $175,000 in 2024 with $125,000 ongoing for force reporting system. This was one of the gaps that was identified in currently that we have with the settlement agreement as the results came out. We also have $10,000 ongoing for additional licenses for data analysis tools. This will support the additional staff that are being hired elsewhere in the enterprise to make sure that they have access to the tools they need. And then we do have an additional FTE as well, which I'll cover a little bit more on the next slide. A couple points I wanted to highlight with this. Over the next several months, we'll be working with outside vendors on technology assessments that were mentioned earlier in the presentation. We will not have identified major changes to the existing platforms used by MPD until those assessments are finalized. And so there may be additional, or there probably will be additional technology-related costs that are identified once those assessments are done. So the expenses you have before you are items that will improve the data collection and analysis capability in support of the city goals that we have. A little bit more detail on the one FTE that we are requesting. This is a data engineer, and this is really to support the underlying data infrastructure needed for the settlement agreement. The position would build on the work that IT has already done related to public safety data needs and will support the ongoing evolution of our public safety data ecosystem. So this is kind of just building on the work that we've done. And that was really all I had for presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Yes, Councilmember Payne has a few.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It sounds like you're doing an assessment around the platforms, but I was just curious if you knew either current platforms you're using or at least the potential future ones, if there's anything that you can share.
Chair Koski, Councilmember Payne, thank you for the question. Of the existing platforms we have, I think the major records management system for the police department was put in place in roughly 2015 or 2016 when it went live. At this point in time, it's we have a variety of other major systems that are kind of on a different set of vendors. And so I think one of the things I'm most interested in kind of exploring with the vendor as we come in is how does a potential consolidation across a vendor landscape help with the systems? And so we really just won't know until we kind of have that assessment finalized.
Would that be PIMS now?
PIMS is that system, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But then the future EIS system would come into play there. Potentially the CAD system would come in, as well as we have a project to do the next gen to replace Workforce Director as well right now.
Is doing customization on the table, or are we looking at a whole new technology stack as we're going forward?
At this point in time, I would say we would not know. Ideally, we would not be heavily customizing the existing tools that we have, but hoping that the vendors would help us support configurations within those tools based on the data needs that are required for the settlement agreement.
Thank you.
Thanks for that question. I had one question. You were talking about the EIS and maybe there's additional funding in another place in the budget. Could you elaborate on that? Or maybe I misunderstood.
I would probably let the budget office speak to that, I believe, so.
Okay.
Chair Koski, the total cost for EIS system is certainly going to be more than $50,000. I think 2 budgets ago, the MPD got ongoing funding for an EIS system, and so we adjusted downward the IT request accordingly.
Okay, so will we see that adjustment again in the MPD's budget elsewhere, or?
Well, we haven't moved it out of MPD at this point. We'll need to figure out how we want to accomplish that and pay for the cost, whether it's moving it entirely or just billing to the MPD line item where that budget sits currently.
Do you know what that line item ongoing cost is?
I believe it was $250 ongoing from the 2022 budgets.
250,000. Okay, thank you.
And I guess just to add to that, we are anticipating a $300,000 annual cost for the EIS platform. So that would kind of mesh with the 250 previously.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wansley?
Thank you, Chair Koski. I also had a follow-up question about the EIS system in terms of, I recall we received either a grant from the POLAD Foundation or they had offered to cover this specific system to the city of Minneapolis a while ago. So I'm hearing that there's maybe a $500,000 cost for this. I forget the specific amount that POLAD had offered, but are they being used, or that grant or dollars that they have indicated interest in using for this, is that covering the cost either on the IT end or MPD's end?
Chair Koski, Councilmember Wansley, thank you for the question. My understanding is that the POLAD Foundation grant is covering the one-time implementation costs for the EIS platform, and so those are not included in any of the budget requests that you'll see. The best of my knowledge is that number was $500,000, but I would open that up to others who may also have information on that.
And is this again on the MPD side? So one time, can someone kind of spell that out for me, like a 2-year-old, of like one-time cost for implementation? Is that just launching, building it? What does that entail?
Chair and Councilmember, it was one time for $500,000. We are using that for funding. Whether that will be sufficient, I think maybe Paul might have a better understanding of what that may be or not. I know that the original intent was to use a off-the-shelf system for EIS, and I think that with the settlement agreement, that may not be true, or it may be unknown at this point in time. But we did receive the $500,000, or we are receiving it.
Right. And I guess the confusion is we've received the dollars. It seems like that's a available source. I'm just confused as to why we might be looking at different costs, either on the IT side, if we have to customize it. Like, what's the gap of why those funds can't cover whatever is needed to mesh the IT and the MPD needs?
Sure. Let me just add one thing before I pass it back to Paul. The ongoing cost, Jane was correct, it is $250,000, and that was put into the budget for ongoing costs, separate from the POLAD Foundation grant, just to clarify.
Okay.
Councilmember Koski, Councilmember Wansley. So if you think of the $500,000 on the implementation side as getting the system initially set up, doing the work to get the jobs and the processes to automate the movement of data in an ongoing fashion from the existing city systems to the vendor for the EIS platform. The budget that we've requested in IT and the $250,000 that MPD mentioned is for the annual licensing costs related to the system. And so we expect that the annual licensing cost just to operate the system will be about $300,000 a year.
And what vendor, it seems like IT will be working with them to make the tweaks needed, but what vendor are we currently using for this?
So the RFP has been published and we have responses back. The team is going through the evaluation of the vendors right now, and so we have not made that selection yet.
Okay, awesome. And that would come back through council for approval once that's finalized, because it's over 175,000. Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'm not seeing any further questions. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just want to note for the record that Councilmember Ellison joined us here today. And I also just want to note for my colleagues and the public that our next Budget Committee meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, September 12th at 10 a.m. We will hear budget presentations from the mayor's office, the legislative department, and the city attorney's office. So with that, we've concluded all business to come before the committee today, and without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you.